Welcome back to Car Mechanics Simulator 2021. Today we're working on the Edgewood Hellcat story car. We do have a little small car to do afterwards as well, but nothing major. If you are enjoying this series or any content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like on the video, it does really help. So we've washed the Hellcat, always like a clean car to work on. We'll do our usual, we're going to have a little run through what we need to do, a little story behind it as well. But this is the Edgewood Wildcat, V8 1-carb OHV engine. 1-carb engine means it's got push rods. Really annoying little things that you've got to try and fit in. But the story is, it's the only piece of their grandma they have. Condition may not be perfect, but I really care about making it into something that would resemble production condition. Grandpa takes care of it, but he's showing his age, just like the car. He could use a fresh approach to the subject. I want to surprise him. The condition of exploitation element should be fine, but the rest, the more difficult to access parts that surpass the capabilities of Grandpa, please take care of this classic piece for me. So that would suggest that outward stuff, basic things that are easy to get to, should be okay, but it's going to be the other parts that are going to cause us a few issues. I'm expecting engine based, I would guess, things that couldn't easily be got. So we'll start with a sped up inspection just to see what we can come across. But yeah, I'd highly suspect it's going to be an engine based issue somewhere in there, based just on that story. Nothing major showing up so far though, which is a bonus. Yeah, they're all outward parts. So we can already see there's a couple of issues on the engine. The engine heads on both sides look like they've had it. As we run through our other tests now, there's a starter motor showed up there. There's a few tests we can't do. The engine does not run, as the fuel test shows us. So what we're going to try and do is see if we can change the starter motor and see if that is enough to get it running. Because then we can run it through the test track, which will then... I have to get it from underneath. That will then hopefully show up any issues we have with suspension and brakes. Just speed things up for us. So we're going to see if the starter motor is enough to get the engine to work. If it is, that will give us some more indications of what else we could be looking at. Straight away, the front suspension doesn't look in good condition there, does it? I think that's going to need replacing, but we'll start just with the starter motor. So already we're spotting things that haven't shown up yet on our list of jobs, but we can guess they're going to be included. Starter motor in the electronics, there we go, V8 starter. Right, let's put this in. Now, fingers crossed the car starts. Or at least allow us to finish off the tests. That's the big thing. We've come a cropper before by not being able to do certain tests. So it does cause issues if you don't check properly. So we'll try the compression test, and it works. That is a complete bonus. Now we get to see what major engine issues there are. And straight away there's a big one. And one that I was hoping it wasn't going to be. So the crankshaft, it will pop up on the screen in a second, but the crankshaft is gone. It's not fixable, it's gone. And we're now going to have to strip the whole engine apart to replace it. 5%. We do a fuel test while we're here, now we can. Anything with the fuel is generally quite quick to replace. It's all good, it's all good. Fuel pump's gone. Nice and easy one to replace, so not a massive issue. Right, we're going to take it to the test track and see what happens. So the car would not go around the test track. Or wouldn't go on the test track, sorry. It starts enough to do the test, but not enough for the test track. So, we've got to take the engine out. We know the crankshaft needs replacing. It was still a kind of a hope with the test track, mainly because of the crankshaft. I did wonder whether that would hinder us. Drain any oil that's in the car. There's a little bit in there. But yeah, the engine has to come out. The crankshaft, for those that aren't aware, is right inside the belly of the engine. It is connected to all the pistons, which means we're going to have to take the engine near enough completely apart to get to it. That's the one job you kind of hope doesn't need changing. That and the pistons themselves, just because the amount of work to take the parts out is going to entail. So that's going to be the big job of this car, I would assume, at this point. Gearbox looks in good condition though, so that's always a plus. We know there's 2 engine heads we need to sort out. We'll take the exhaust off, the front exhaust, to allow us to get the engine out. It's a nice looking engine though, V8. Not a bad looking engine. So we'll head across and get our engine crane. So it's really unlikely you're ever going to get a story car, I think, that's going to be really quick and easy to do. Must not forget, we've got to take the cooling liquid out. Otherwise, as soon as we try and take this engine out, we're going to get in trouble for a leak or spillage. So we'll take the coolant out. The washer liquid, the power steering, and the brake servo absolutely fine. No issues there at all. But yeah, it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to get a quick story car. I think most of them are going to involve a decent amount of work. They normally dictate when you should be buying upgrades for the garage, to be honest. That's generally what I've noticed so far. And it makes a big change from us fixing and building our own car so far. So, something different for today. So with this engine, as we put it on the engine stand, we are going to speed up taking it apart and stripping it down. Biggest reason, you will see shortly, the push rods are very fiddly and take a little bit of time to take all off. But we'll start with the spark plugs on this side, deal with the other side. Spark plugs coming out now, engine head covers coming off, and then the fun and games with the rocker arms and push rods. They're not that bad, they're just fiddly small, and it's increased time. So it's just one of those. You always hope you don't have to deal with taking everything off to get to what you need, but unfortunately we do. So we've got to put up with it. So the other side being done now. They all look like they need replacing as well. All the push rods look like they've had it. The rocker arms are in good condition. So that's an interesting one. So they all need replacing as well. So we had to take them off no matter what. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to finish the car. Makes you feel a little bit better about it when you have to take them off anyway. Okay. Fan coming off. And then we've got all the timing and things to take off here. Water pump. Timing cover. Well, okay. There's a gear that needs changing there as well. So all these little things you wouldn't notice unless you have to go this deep in. We've made that mistake of not checking things further inside the engine before, and then you have to take it apart a second time. Straight away you can see the crankshaft. We're just taking apart or taking off the caps for the pistons. That will allow us access to the crankshaft. There we go. They're off. We'll take the pistons out. And the pistons all out. So last to take off all the gear size, so the clutch release bearing, the clutch pressure plate is next. And the clutch plate, that also needs replacing. The flywheel. And then last but not least, the crankshaft. So we're going to go off, fix all these parts, and we'll come back when we've done it, when we can fix what we fixed and bought what we need. There we go. We have bought the parts we need. We've fixed a very small amount of things we could actually fix. There wasn't much. Most of this had to be bought brand new. I don't think we even had much storage, to be honest. So we'll now start putting this all back together. Again, we'll speed it up, mainly because of the annoying push rods. All the pistons going back in. Now we've got the caps to go back on. Hold the pistons in place. They also connect them to the crankshaft as well. There we go. Hang on. I missed something where I didn't realize we needed to buy. That was the crankshaft cap. Okay, while we were putting them on, I did notice one of them was lower than the percentage needed. So I wanted to see if it was on our job list. It wasn't, so we're okay. It was 5% lower. I think the minimum parts on this engine or this car is 89%. It was 84. But I had to go and check the car because you can't do it away from the car. But I wanted to make sure if we didn't replace it, it wouldn't cause us an issue. It doesn't, because it's not on the list of parts to replace. So that saved us. It didn't save us any work. It saved us a little bit of money, I suppose. Right, rocker caps and push rods going on. The fun job that everyone enjoys doing. Nearly done this side. There we go. So engine heads can now, the engine head covers can go back on. On that side, this side now, spark plugs, and then the rocker arms and the push rods. There we go. Run through these quickly. To be fair, we're nearly done with the engine already. There's little things that do take a bit of time, but they're not a massive issue. They just slow you down a little bit. There we go, engine head cover on. And now we can do the last little bits. So we've got our carburetor. And then on top of that, this will be the filter, the round air filter. None of that needed replacing. We're just putting the same one back on. And then I believe all we've got left is the gear side. I call it the gear side. I think that's kind of the right wording for it. So flywheel on first. Clutch plate, we had to buy a new one. Last one was no good. Clutch pressure plate. And a clutch release bearing. There we go. That is the complete engine. That is all done. It wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad at all. So we can go and put this back in the car. It shouldn't affect anything we're doing with the car. And I think in theory the car should start. I'm hoping. So test track to deal with the suspension, just so it shows up anything. The biggest thing I'm thinking of to save us a little bit of time is the rubber bushings. If we can find out which ones have got an issue now, we don't have to then take every single one of them out to check the condition. If you do the test track, or test path it should be called, I've been saying the wrong thing, it's actually test path. But if you go and check condition in the test path, you then can just hover over them, it tells you the condition, rather than having to take each one individually out. And as they're a nemesis, I don't want to not do them. So we're just going to add the oil back in. That's also completed one of the other side jobs for this car, which is to change the oil. That's another job done just by running through the stuff we need to do. So we need to connect the exhaust as well. I am in the engine bay. So I just wanted to see how much oil we put in. I was trying to see, because all the dipsticks working within the game, I just wanted to actually use one and just have a look. Yep, plenty of oil in there. Nice clean oil as well. I need to take one out of a car that's used without changing the oil. Just see if there's a different colour. Just for research purposes. But anyway, back underneath the car. We can put the gearbox back in place. We've got the exhaust to replace as well. So there's 2 exhausts, and then the gearbox, and then starter motor you have to do from the engine bay. No, we can do it from underneath. Oh, it's underneath, isn't it? I keep thinking it's engine bay for some reason. There we go. Some are engine bay, some aren't. Now, before you start screaming or shouting at the video saying you've missed something, we're about to see. So at this point, we still need to replace the fuel pump, but I didn't think that would be that much of an issue. But we're going to take it to the test path. And I didn't spot what I'd done. I'm hoping you guys did. We'll find out in a second. But we'll head to the test path and see what it says. This is a big, really, moment. So we're on the test path. Now, engine can't be started. Now, I did consider this. So we need to put in the fuel pump. We're going to take the last one out. Now we should be able to do this on the floor. We can. So we just need to buy a new fuel pump, put it in place, and that's all we need to do. I did wonder if we'd be able to do it from on the floor itself, but we can. So that's not an issue. So fuel pumping. And at this moment, I realised I'd made a mistake. We haven't put the drive shaft back in place. So the car won't go on the test path because the car doesn't run. You can start the engine, admittedly, but the front wheels don't move because it's a rear-wheel drive. And without a drive shaft, they're not going to move. The engine is not going to do anything. So, yeah, a little bit of time wasted. Nothing major. More embarrassment, I think, on my part more than anything else. But there's a drive shaft. Let's put it back in place now. And then we'll head to the test path. There's no point showing the test path. It's the same thing every time. We have shown it in previous episodes, but we'll show you the results of the test path. Now the car is in a condition to go. Apologise for that mistake. Okay, here we go. So 4 rubber bushings need replacing. So this will save us a lot of time, because this means we can find the rubber bushings by hovering over them, not by taking them out. And that does save a massive amount. And we've still got one part not discovered. But I think I know what it is. And we have spotted it previously. It's there. It's the suspension cross member. Now, we haven't had to do anything with it. Well, I say that. It hasn't shown up on the investigations we've done. It didn't show up on the test path, which I'm surprised by. I expected it to. But we can look at it and say, that's no good. I would hazard a guess, and I'm only guessing, that all the rubber bushings we're going to take out are in this cross member. The first one is. We need 4 of these out. We know there's 4 bad ones. Second one is as well. I bet it's all connected. And we don't actually have to take the wheels off. To actually take off this cross member, we take off the bits that connect to the wheel itself. So the wheel knuckle, I think it's called. We can actually take it off without worrying about anything else at this point. Whether you could really do it this way in a real car, in a real garage, I don't know. But this is enabling us to, number 3, rubber bushing. This enables us to take it out whilst the engine's in. I would highly suspect that probably holds the engine in place. But, you know, it's allowing us to take it out. We'll take it out this way. Saves a little bit of time. Right, the last 4th rubber bushing we need to replace is also in the cross member. That saves us a little bit of time. Cross member now come out. We'll go off, replace the parts we need to replace. And there we are. So we couldn't fix any of the rubber bushings or the cross member. I've just noticed I've missed something on the engine. No, I haven't. It was just where that was showing up, I think. Yeah, we couldn't fix bushings or the cross member, so brand new ones are going in place. I don't know. Oh, I had to get a load. No, I didn't buy. I bought 4. We're replacing the rubber bushings that were already used on the parts we took off. We've got to make sure the right ones are going in the right place, because if the ones from the other elements are less than 89%, it won't allow us to pass. We're trying to put back the used ones on the used parts, because they don't need replacing. It's just the 4 in the cross member that do. So if you're doing this yourself, make sure you're only replacing the parts that need replacing with the 100% parts, the new parts. Otherwise, it won't allow you to pass it, and you have to buy more stuff, and you lower your own profit. And no one wants to lower their profit. So the last bit's going back on. Sway bar in place, and I believe that's just about everything done. So that's all the parts replaced or fixed. That wasn't too bad a job, to be fair. We still need to do a few little bits. So we need to change the brake fluid, power steering fluid needs changing, so that means draining first. And then we need to sort the wheels out. They need to be adjusted. Fairly simple process. So we just need to make sure we remember to drain, not just replace, because that can be an issue. So we need to drain. This is the one we need to fill. I'm just trying to remember in my head as well. Windscreen washer just needs filling. Brake liquid and the power steering liquid need draining first. If you don't drain and you fill them, it won't let you finish the job. And then you've also got to pay more to refill them anyway. So we'll drain the power steering. I'm still on the wrong menu, that's why. Now we can take the lid off and refill. There we go. Power steering fluid going in. Perfect. And then brake servo. It's over that far right hand side. Let's get a good view on it. There we go. We need to drain it first. Always remember to drain. If it doesn't say replace, then you can just refill. But it says replace, so we have to drain. There we go. And then make sure on the right menu. And we can now fill this back up. And then it's just to balance the wheels. Well, it's not balanced, is it? It's to adjust the wheels so that it's in a straight line. If you remember the first car we rebuilt and added to our track times, for our leaderboard. That was the one car we hadn't aligned the wheels on. And there is a noticeable difference in time compared to other cars. So I'm thinking we need to redo that car at some point. There we go, we just aligned the wheels now. Nice, quick and easy, just move the arrows across until they're in the green. Tells you how much they're off by. So you can imagine driving this car without adjusting the wheels though, can't you? You're going to one side. We had that with our first car we rebuilt. We hadn't adjusted the wheels because we couldn't. And it was steering to the left constantly. Never a fun job. Okay, the car is done. I'm pretty sure the car is done. Have I missed anything? I'm always wary at this point, just in case there's something I've not realised I haven't done. But we'll run through the numbers. So, we have spent £1,902 fixing the car. The car is going to pay us £8,389. £8,381, sorry. And we're going to make a profit of £6,479. You don't make a massive profit off story cars, but they are good to progress, especially for XP and levels. So we'll open our chest as well, which we got for doing the story car. Bonus scrap there, another one to take as well. This is going to give us another barn location and bonus XP. Nice. Okay, add that to our map so we can go there whenever we want to. Second car for today, and I don't know why I picked this one up as the second one to do. I think it was one we hadn't looked at previously. But this is the 1989 Salem Kieran. It's a tiny little car, and all it needs is gearbox. Nice and simple. Well, ish. What I didn't realise when I accepted the car, because I don't think we've worked on one like this before, or this specific model. Gearbox is different to the previous car because it's a front wheel drive, which means it's a side-on gearbox that you need to take the wheels off to get to. Yeah. Still going to be a quick and easy job. There is nothing to this at all. It's just a little bit more labour intensive with the wheels coming off first, whereas we didn't have to do that with the last one. But it was just, I wanted to do it because it was a car we hadn't done previously. Something that's a bit different. And I do like that. If I see a car I've not touched before, I like to do a job with it, just because you get to see it for the first time, you get to have a look at it. Okay, front left is off, front right to take off now. I don't know why I took off the brake caliper, I didn't need to. Yeah, it wasn't needed, we just need to take the front drive axle off. And then we can take out the front drive shaft. There we go. And gearbox. Starter motor. Where are you? It is there. Right, we can only access that from the engine bay. Nothing like slowing down a quick job, is there? So we're going to need to go into the engine bay, take the starter motor off, then lift the car back up in the air to get the gearbox off. Just one of those simple things that is a little bit more labour intensive than you realise at the time. Starter's off. Gearbox can now be changed or taken off. And then we'll have to have a look at the clutch plates and things just to see if there's any issues with them, as it's all gearbox related issues with this car. It's falling apart, this car, by the looks of things, but this is what they need doing. I'm sure the rest of it shakes and rattles as much as the gearbox does, so I don't think they're going to be able to tell what we've actually done with the car by the end of it, but there we go. Okay, so the clutch pressure plate needs replacing as well. So does the clutch plate and the flywheel. But that's it. That's all the parts I believe we need off. We'll just double check. Gearbox, clutch plate, flywheel, clutch pressure plate. Jobs are good. Now, can we fix any of them? That's the big question. I don't think we'll be able to. Starter doesn't need changing. No, none of the parts that we took off can be fixed, which is annoying because it means we've got to buy a new gearbox. They're probably one of the most expensive parts that we've come across. The gearbox. It's nice if we don't have to buy one. Just got to double check there's nothing else. Nope. So it's a nice quick shopping list though. Four items. Nice quick flywheel, clutch plate, pressure plate, and gearbox. But it was just a chance to have a look at a different car for once. and then think about what it'd be like to actually build this ourselves. The one car I'm really looking forward to building ourselves is an electric car. I don't know, something about them that just makes me want to build one, but I'm waiting until we find one either in a barn or something like that. Hopefully at some point in the future we will, and we can add it to our top times. But it's still a little way off. Okay, clutch release bearing going on now. Gearbox, brand new, shiny looking gearbox. It does not belong on this car due to the condition of the rest of the car. Has to go on next. Drive shaft, drive axles. We can also do the wheels. We need to put the brake caliper on. I don't know why I took it off. I didn't need to, other than making sure the outline of the wheel didn't show up. But then once you take out the drive shaft, it won't. So, or drive axle. Yeah, not sure why I did that. Okay, on the other side, the front right, we can now put the drive axle back in place. Nice and easy. Wheel back on, and then all we need to do is the starter motor, and this job is done. Nice, easy, quick one to finish off the video. Bring the car down. Starter motor is in the engine bay. I think I need to learn side-on gearboxes, generally engine bay starters. Rear-facing gearboxes are generally underneath. I need to remember that. Okay, so for this car we spent £1,130 on parts and fixing things. It is going to pay us £3,089 and we're going to make a profit of £1,959. We've just made £8,500 today in this episode. It's not too bad. And looking at our skill points, we've got 5 to spend. So what can we really buy? We can buy the customer discount, which is 5% off on parts. That's important. That will give us more profit going forward. So thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. See you again soon.